I think there is a lot to be said with talking to friends and family. I like talking, personally I quite like talking about it. Even this is quite nice. You feel like you get certain weights off your chest, and it's nice to discuss with a like-minded person that's had their own experience and comparing stories and that kind of thing. But your friends and family know you. They can help you. They can help to put things in place to keep you on top of things, and then obviously getting professional help alongside that is what will get you
on the
straight and on the straight and narrow.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Sully's Open Conversation. As always, I'm your host Sully, and today I've taken the drive to Ivor to come and meet with Fred. Welcome, Fred.
Thank you, mate. Thank you for having me.
So I met Fred through a mutual friend of ours. Fred went to uni, Bournemouth Uni, with a very good friend of mine from home, Harry, and me and Fred kind of got talking. And I think one of the nicest things about kind of opening up about my mental health is that other people have kind of confided in me as well, which is what you did. So Fred, without further ado, take it away.
Sweet. So I said to you before, I'm not a massive fan of the introduction question. I don't think anyone really likes introducing themselves or talking about themselves. But yeah, my name's Fred. I'm from Buckinghamshire, Ivor. I'm 22. And as George said, I just did 4 years at Bournemouth Uni, studying business, and obviously had a past experience with mental health, specifically anxiety. So I thought I would take up George's offer to come and talk about that and answer some questions.
Very grateful for it.
Have a discussion about mental health, which is good because I think it's something that people are starting to do more of now, and it's important because I think back when I was younger and I was having my own experiences, it really wasn't a subject that people were embracing. It really wasn't talked about by families and friends. It was, really
a taboo topic.
100%. People didn't really know what was going on. People didn't know how to handle it. People didn't know where to go and that kind of stuff. So I think it's good what you're doing. And,
Thank you.
Thank you. And this kind of thing is good.
So, so to start off the show, obviously we have if you could name a positive experience that you've kind of heard, seen, or done recently.
What's something that I've done?
Yeah.
So at the moment I'm training for a marathon.
Oh wow.
So definitely that's keeping me sort of grounded, giving me something to work towards, keeping me busy. It takes up quite a lot of time. You have to do quite a lot of miles. And obviously I'm doing it for charity, and a charity quite close to my heart, which is good. So it keeps me driven and motivated. And
lovely. Is that the London Marathon, or is that?
No, Brighton.
Brighton Marathon. Oh wow.
I put in for London.
When is that?
So it's April. It's next weekend.
April. Oh crikey. Oh, next weekend.
Next weekend.
Jesus.
Next weekend. Yeah.
No, that is close.
Yeah, literally. So I've been training since Christmas.
Right.
So it's been keeping me really busy.
Wow.
Then.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
So yeah, going to be raising some money for kidney research.
Lovely.
Which is obviously an important charity to me. My nan suffers from kidney failure. So,
oh wow.
Yeah.
So it's close to your heart.
Yeah, and obviously sports and mental health have a big correlation.
Very good correlation, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah, it keeps you busy. It's good for your physical health and for your mental health as well. So yeah, that's definitely something that I've been doing at the moment.
Lovely. Very nice. Very nice indeed.
It's nice.
So I guess the most important question is, Fred, how have you been doing kind of mentally recently?
Good. I think I've been okay. I've had sort of ups and downs, and I've noticed recently, I think the transition from uni into sort of like the real world has not necessarily like relapsed me, because it was like very different when I was younger. It was very extreme compared to what it is now. But I don't think, you get help from people and you learn how to deal with it, but it never really leaves you. And as your circumstances change in life, it sort of develops and changes. And I think coming from university to the real world and starting a new job and all of that, you start to have to adjust.
It's adapting to a new environment, isn't it?
Yeah, and you might find it more. You might get anxious about things. Working in Central and meeting all these new people is very difficult. Yeah. Sometimes.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I've been okay.
Good.
I've been okay.
Good.
I didn't anticipate that the dog would.
Yeah. We just had some scratching at the door with the dog. Dogs are very good for mental health, so I'm very happy. Yeah, he's come and joined us.
You said we're going to keep it natural.
Yeah.
Non-scripted, so there you go. But yeah, overall, I think I've been okay. It's coming to terms with the changes in my life and learning how to keep on top of my mental health and not get drowned by the new situations that I'm finding myself in, and just keeping on top of it and talking to people. Like, it's massively helping me, like talking to my mum, talking to my dad.
Being open about it, really. It just makes it all a hell of a lot easier, doesn't it?
And I think when you start talking to your friends start talking back to you about it, and I've found that all of my lot coming from uni are all sort of feeling similar, maybe not necessarily as anxious as others, you know, some don't necessarily suffer or previously have suffered with mental health, but everyone's in this same boat where, like, you've just had the 4 best years of your life, you're not doing anything really. And now you get thrown into the real world, and you know, you've come to the end of the line. There's no more government grants, there's no more handouts.
You've got to face the big bad world on your own.
And you can't wake up at 9 a.m. and sack it off. You know, it becomes a problem when you do. You can't just, you know, phone up work and it's not a lecture. But
there's commitments and 100%.
But yeah, I've been working towards just taking each day as it comes, new opportunities, saying yes to as many things as I can, trying to break out of my comfort zone, because I think everyone likes their comfort zone. Everyone gets very
well, it's called the comfort zone
exactly.
for a reason.
Everyone
isn't it?
naturally
it's so
falls
easy
into
to just
one.
sit in there.
Everyone naturally falls into one, but I think if you are prone to an anxious mind, or you've previously suffered with anxiety, it's too easy to really like be consumed by it. It's
and just
more
kind of sit back and let it all kind of wash over you, rather than kind of put yourself out there, which is it's totally understandable.
Exactly.
And so you're working from home, aren't you? How have you kind of felt that in terms of kind of dealing with kind of just one singular environment rather than going out and commuting to work and things like that?
Yeah, well, so I do 2 days in the office and 3 days at home.
Oh, lovely.
And I have to say, like, working from home for so long, and especially during COVID and that, and everyone just being at home, the transition to then seeing real people and like having social situations, I think everyone's felt it a little bit. It can be quite overwhelming, like particularly last week, like my company's hired quite a lot of people and I'm new, and most people haven't met people anyway. So there's just so many people to meet, and you sort of forget what it's like to meet someone in real life and not over the camera, and you think like, you think you're doing something wrong, like you've completely forgotten how to engage
interact with someone.
And sometimes that doesn't help, because that can really make you feel anxious. So I think it is important for people who have anxiety, or like me, who previously suffered worse than they do now, to sort of make sure they make that effort in their life, because it's too easy to
which is a huge step, actually.
Exactly.
It's a huge step, and I suppose from you experiencing it from a young age, you've had that experience to then know how to kind of like push out of it, I suppose, or kind of take that extra step. Whereas I suppose someone who's like kind of early signs of anxiety may not have that kind of experience to draw from and put themselves out there.
Exactly.
So you're actively doing something again that kind of fights against it, which is brilliant.
It's something I try really hard to do. I think it's really important to really try and put yourself in uncomfortable positions in order to make you more comfortable. Because like I said, an anxious mind will go to its comfort zone more so than like normal people, like not normal people, but you know what I mean, like an average person that doesn't suffer. It's too easy to just say, "Oh, I'll work from home," and then you know, you just get cooped up. You
find yourself in a kind of rut, and
and you'll never meet the people you work with, and you'll never get exposure to new situations and that. So that's something I think, coming out of uni and coming into the real world and meeting new people, and you know, just cracking on with my life. I try and do that now. I'm really conscious of making myself feel uncomfortable every now and then, because
that's really positive.
Good things come from it. You might not think it beforehand, but then afterwards you feel great. It's just like exercise. It's exercise for the mind. It literally is. You know, you do a workout, you'll never regret a workout. You put yourself in a bit of a situation that you might be anxious for. Like this, for example. This is something I wouldn't normally do, and when I agreed to it, we'd had a few beers at the time. And then you texted me and said, "Oh, you know, what day do you want to do this?" And I was thinking,
this is serious.
it would be too easy for me to say, "Oh no, you know, I said that after a few pints. It's not something I would normally do." But then I thought, say yes to things.
Yeah.
Because after, you never know what kind of impact you'll have, and obviously you're on a mission to help people, and it's great to be a part of it. But to put myself out my comfort zone for an hour today,
it's brilliant.
Is
And
nice.
I've said it a fair few times. You may never know how many people that you are helping, but they're 100% doing this kind of thing is exactly what that is doing.
Exactly.
It will help at least one person either understand or become more aware of the kind of difficulties that people with kind of mental health problems or mental illnesses face.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is key, really, because like you said, it kind of when we were younger at school, there isn't any kind of education, is there?
No.
You don't get taught kind of what anxiety is or depression is or addiction. You kind of just like you're left to your own devices to kind of figure it out, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. And not even just your friends. Like when I had my experiences, my dad particularly couldn't understand what was wrong with me, and it's all he wanted to do was fix it and help me.
Yeah.
Because for me, it was more than just, oh, I'm nervous to go out somewhere. It was, you have actual repercussions from the anxiety. So mine was, I would be physically sick. Like, I can remember the penny dropping. I went to school when I sat on the bus, and I thought, oh no, something doesn't feel right. And I got off the bus and I ran home. And I was just like, sick, and then it proceeded to happen every single day.
Seriously.
And all my dad wanted to do was just help.
Kind of understand.
Like, what's going on? Why are you doing this? I just want to help you. Like, why can't you just not do that? And I didn't know why I was doing it. My mum sort of had a little idea, I think, of what was going on, but then it became stuff like any sort of new social situation where you'd meet people, and then it sort of developed into like a emetophobia, where I knew I was going to be sick, so then I feared being sick, and that's what it was. Any like,
it's like compounding on top of each other, isn't it? It's just so debilitating as well, isn't it?
Exactly.
It must have been absolutely horrible.
Exactly.
In terms of, obviously, so it'd be kind of like on the school bus or social situations. Did you were then obviously were you missing school quite a bit, or?
No, that was the good thing. My mum always sort of made sure I made it to school, and the funny thing was, as soon as I got there, I was fine.
Right.
It was the bit like the nervous build up. Yeah. But then as soon as you put yourself in the situation, you're like, oh, what was I worried about? Like,
yeah.
Like I said, like even now, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, afterwards you think, oh, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But I always found that once you had been sick, I could go to school because I got it out the way.
Yeah.
Because I was worried about.
It almost becomes part of a routine, really.
And that's when it becomes really, really bad.
Yeah.
I was so worried about being sick. I thought, oh, if it happens before I go to school, then I'm done. It won't happen at school, so I can go to school now. But then obviously, then becomes the problem. I can't go to school unless I've been sick, or
really?
I can't start this new job. I can't go because I was just starting like a Saturday job at like I think I was like 14, 15. Yeah. Can't go until I've been sick, kind of thing. So it became like
a burden on your life. Really,
that's not normal. No one does that. So that's when it became a problem, and that's when it was like, right, you need to go and speak to someone and try and get this sorted.
Yeah. So kind of in terms of remedying what was happening, what was the kind of port of call? Were you on medication, or did you?
No, I never did medication.
Right.
I went to see, I think it's a psychiatrist, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I was about 14, 15. I might have been younger. I think I was been like year 9 at school.
Yeah.
Went to see this guy, and we would just talk about like what was going on and why I felt like that, and I don't really remember too much about what we talked about now because it was quite a while ago, but I remember being taught just like breathing exercises.
Yeah.
And one that sometimes I still use now. I mean, I don't ever find myself being sick or ever, that's long in the past now. But it was stuff like you breathe out for longer than you breathe in, and it slows your heart rate down. And if oxygen can't get to the stomach can't be sick. So like if anyone...
So there's actually like biology behind it as well.
Exactly.
Wow.
So like,
and that allows you to understand what was going on more as well.
Exactly. And you can nip it in the bud. When you felt like that, you just take some time. And that goes with anyone that's sort of having panic attacks.
Yeah.
If you're breathing out for longer than you're breathing in, you're getting less oxygen in, so you're slowing everything down.
Wow.
And
I didn't know that. That's very good technique.
So,
I've obviously heard about kind of with anxiety attacks. There's a grounding technique, isn't it? There's kind of like say 5 things you can see, 4 things you can smell, 3 things you can touch, kind of thing. Yeah. Which I think, I've used a couple of times because there are some situations, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like a massively stressful one, but like you say, it could be building up and building up.
Yeah.
And it just suddenly overwhelms you, and then you're kind of stuck there like, Jesus, what do I do?
Yeah, exactly. It's all about just trying to get in control of it, because it's very scary having your brain do something that you didn't tell it to do. Like, imagine it just saying like, oh, I have to be sick. Like, that's not a normal daily bodily function. But for some reason, it's told you, it's taken over.
You become accustomed to that.
Like you said, just taking them a minute to, what can you see? Finding where you are, because it's just thoughts at the end of the day. And I don't remember where I heard it, but I heard it the other day, and they're saying they're just thoughts. They can't hurt you. They just pass through your head. Like, you label them bad or you label them good, but they come and go.
Yeah, they really do.
It's just your emotive response. If I think something and I don't like it and it starts to make me feel anxious, it's only because I've labelled it bad.
Yeah.
But just like...
And that's self-awareness, really, isn't it? That's kind of like checking your own thoughts. I mean, I've obviously, it wasn't anxiety, but it was around I was around a similar age, kind of like 14, 15, about year 9, when I kind of started to feel quite depressed and didn't really know why, didn't understand. But like you say, it's a biological thing.
Yeah.
It's thought, and it's kind of chemically in your brain a kind of imbalance. So that's how I started having suicidal thoughts. But I kind of felt ashamed because of that, because at 14 years old, you feel like you shouldn't be acting in that way, should you? Or you shouldn't be having those thoughts, or you shouldn't be feeling that anxious. But when it actually starts to consume you and becomes kind of like a physical thing, it really does kind of take its toll on you, and can make your mental health even worse, because you're kind of feeling bad on yourself and like, why am I doing this? You're not really understanding it.
Exactly. So
like you, I got counselling at school and things like that, but it was never... I think the counselling definitely helped, because like you say, thoughts come and go, and it's whether you're labelled them good or bad. And it's allowing you to get your thoughts out there.
Exactly. Well, you can't help yourself. You're not qualified enough to help yourself. Like, if it's happening in the first place, it's happening because something's not quite right, and you're not going to be able to talk. You can't talk yourself out. But your brain is so powerful.
Yeah.
Like, and I think people like you and me and other people that suffer with mental health problems. I mean, there's so many out there. It's so different. Like, your brain just one day wakes up and thinks something.
Yeah.
And I've realised as I've got older, like I said, you never get over it, but it's always there, but you just learn how to deal with it. And I think it's matured as I've got older, and it's become other things, like sometimes you might get nervous meeting new people at work and all of that, or overwhelmed by big crowds. It'll always be a little niggling voice in the back of your head, but it's just learning to deal with things, and it's seeing people that are qualified to help you with the tools, and they enable you. That's why these jobs exist. But if the brain is too powerful, you can't just, I'll just stop thinking these things now. It's not gonna.
You can't just snap out of it, can you?
Exactly.
It's far more consuming than that, and it's far more intense, I suppose, as well. When I was kind of at my worst, kind of last September, when I went into hospital, I couldn't control my thoughts. I actually couldn't control it. It was just non-stop kind of negativity and like suicidal thoughts that you just think there's no real other way out.
You think you're never going to get over it. It's crazy when your brain starts thinking for you when you're not in the driver's seat anymore.
It is exactly not in the driving seat. That's kind of terrifying. A good way to explain it, definitely.
Yeah, and
definitely.
It's all about trying to regain the control, and having those techniques and having those things that you do that help you to stay on top of it. And I'm all for it. I'm a big advocate for people getting correct help. And, seeing qualified people, but also talking to their mates.
And I mean, that's the first port of call, really, isn't it? It's friends and family, because, I mean, I've kind of been doing more research, and me having been through the mental health kind of system in the country, your first kind of like blockade, your first port of call that can improve your mental health instantly is being more open with your friends and family.
100%.
Our services are already kind of like strained and underfunded. So actually the help that we can give each other is the first kind of like blockade to prevent us oversubscribing the system that already is.
Exactly.
And And that's kind of an interesting point, because like you say, I mean, that it does get to a point where you will need professional help.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's why when your dad was kind of like saying, all I want to do is help, but I don't really understand, because he's not qualified to.
Yeah, and it was a different time then. I think now there's a really good movement with mental health, like you doing this now, and just, you know, you see it on Twitter all the time where like,
there's Dr. Alex.
Yeah, exactly. People are losing their mates to battles that they didn't know were happening, and they want more than anything for their mates to have just spoken about it. And you leave your friends with an incredible burden that they wish they could have helped, and a lot of the time they can. Like, I think there is a lot to be said with talking to friends and family. I like talking. Personally, I quite like talking about it. Even this is quite nice. You feel like you get certain weights off your chest, and it's nice to discuss with a like-minded person that's had their own experience and comparing stories and that kind of thing. But your friends and family know you. They can help you. They can help to put things in place to keep you on top of things. And then obviously getting professional help alongside that is what will get you
kind of
on the straight and narrow. But you know, if it wasn't for professional help or addressing it with my family, I'd still be in the being sick
in the
kind
place.
of like, you know, that's what stopped me from doing that, was the professional help. And it just became something that's now I'm aware of it. Like, I know sometimes I might get anxious about things, but it doesn't take over my life. It doesn't control my life. I can still do things like this. I can turn up to work, and I think you get to a certain point in your life. I like to be quite brutal with myself with it sometimes. Like I said, you putting myself in uncomfortable situations. But I get to a point where sometimes I think, you know, you're getting older now. You've got to start doing things. You can't hide behind it for too long, and that, you know, it's just doing. It's going and getting out there, being quite brutal with myself, and just saying, you know, just
taking life by the horns.
Yeah, like exactly. Crack on with it. Because what's the worst that can happen? You know, nothing bad's gonna happen. You might feel a bit anxious, but once you get there, you'll be fine. And it's all about just, you know, you can't hide from life for too long. It's too good to miss.
Certainly, I was when we kind of had that conversation, and you opened up to me, I was very surprised, because you didn't seem kind of like a nervous or anxious guy at all.
That's good.
But like I said, at the start, it was. I'm very glad and thankful for you to kind of opening up and coming on here, because things like this, and if we hadn't had that conversation, I would have never assumed that you'd had any previous experience with kind of mental health.
That's the thing, you sort of never really know with people, because it doesn't have a...
there's no label on your head that says that I've got this, is there?
But it was more the fact that you feeling that you could open up to me. I felt I owed it to you to...
Thank you.
To tell my story back, and then, you know, you get this conversation going where, you know, sometimes I think I think we're both sort of in a position now where we're on top of it. I'd say I'm...
For the best part.
I'm definitely on top of it, and you can sort of look back and not laugh, but think, haven't I come a long way? Like, what a crazy thing I used to do. And that's why you said, you know, I only want people to come on here that feel comfortable and ready to talk about it. And I do, like, I like to think I can help people, because, you know, when I was younger, you couldn't really talk about it, and I used to just do this crazy thing every morning.
And obviously did any of your friends know about it? Or no?
That was the thing. No one. We're so young then. You feel like you can't tell people, because, you know, it was quite concerning it's quite an extreme thing to do every morning. Like, it's not just waking up and
scary
and feeling sad or feeling anxious. It was like you're actually doing something quite bad for your body, for one, and also it's not regular. That's not part of people's daily routine. You don't want it to be a part of your daily routine. So but as I said, the movement's changed now. It's important that people talk about things, and I think even if I was suffering it at this age now, I'd feel like I could talk to my mates about it.
Brilliant.
And I think that they would be able to help more. And obviously there are people that suffer with it at this age and suffer with it now. So
I think one of the biggest things that's probably has changed over kind of like the last 10, 15 years is people feel more comfortable talking
100%.
about it, because certainly I've always said it, kind of in lockdown and things like that, and social media, we become kind of more disconnected. You may have loads of followers, but you're basically just checking up on people's lives that you don't really even talk to anymore.
Exactly.
So it's so important to know that kind of like closer network that you have, that you are comfortable kind of opening up and talking to them about anything. And I suppose more or less it's actually how to start the conversation as well.
Yeah.
Because some people just don't really know actually how to ask.
Exactly.
They kind of don't want to be too intrusive. They don't want to come across kind of too forward or anything like that.
Yeah.
So and it is a touchy subject. It can be, but ultimately those uncomfortable conversations are the most kind of riveting. They're the ones that make the most progress.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you may necessarily not want to have them, but once you do, you feel a hell of a lot better after.
Exactly.
So it's an interesting conversation, and I'm very thankful for you to come on here,
That's
Fred.
Right. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been brilliant. So the last thing that we do to kind of finish each show is we'll get kind of you to kind of say one technique that you use to keep mindful and keep on top of your mental health, really.
Okay, so I think it's definitely running is one of them. You know, it gives you time to just be on your own, you know, sometimes listen to a podcast, sometimes listen to music, but you get that time to be really in tune with yourself.
Yeah.
And have some time alone. You know, there's no distractions, your phone's not pinging off, it's just you and going as far as you want, and it's a physical benefit and it's a mental benefit, and also it gives you an opportunity to challenge yourself. You know, I used to just do 5Ks, see how quickly I could do a 5K. Right, let's do a 10K. Then you feel great after that. How quickly can I do a 10K? And then I started last year. I did a half marathon on New Year's Day. I thought, what a good year! What a good
on New Year's Day as well. You had to cut out the drinking.
Well, it was lockdown, so like no one went.
Yeah.
I think it was last year. A couple of years ago I did it.
Right.
And I thought, that's great. And then I thought, right, let's do
push
a marathon.
yourself
so
further.
It's just taking.
You just progressed. Yeah. You built
on
it and built on it.
Yeah, and it gives you something to keep focused on.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is obviously if you ever feel really overwhelmed, which doesn't really happen too much, if very rarely, but you have the breathing technique. You know, breathe out for longer than you breathe in. I'm sure you can tell people about that one or use it.
Yeah, brilliant.
Use it yourself. It is a good one. It does work. It's not just, you know, take deep breaths. It's
controlling your breathing and kind of being mindful of your body. Yeah,
exactly.
That's brilliant.
So that's what I do.
Thank you very much, Fred. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you all again on the next episode of Sully's Open Conversation. Thank you and goodbye.